Esaenai el Harim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Esaenai el Harim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri. Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim va'aretz. Ezri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim va'aretz. Ayiten lamod raglecha al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yeminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka ve'yareach balayla. Adonai yishmorcha mikora, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzeitcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam. Adonai yishmor tzeitcha uvoecha me'ata ve'ad olam. Al mekomo yavo v'shalom. Shir Lama'alot, a song for those who ascend. Esainai el harim me'ain yavo ezri. I turn my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. You see, the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian, your protection at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. God will guard your life. God will guard your going and coming, now and forever. May our beloved Max Brown go unto God in peace. Hatzur Tamim, Paulo Kichod Rachab Mishpat, El Emunah Beinav, El Tzadik V'Yashar Hu. Tzadik Adonai Lamidu Lachayot, Asher B'Yadcha B'Gadon Kol Ruchot, Chalil Lecha Zichronenu Limchot. V'yihiyu Nainecha B'Rachamim Aleinu V'Kolchot, Ki Lachad Adon Harachamim V'Haslichot. Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam dayan ha'emet. Praised are you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe, the judge of truth. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yishem Adonai mevorach. V'hu rachum yechaber avon v'lo yashchit. V'yirba l'shiva po v'lo yirkal chamato. V'yashov he'afar. Al haaretz shehaya ve'aruach tashu Elai Elohim asher netana. The dust returns to the earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May our beloved soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal, and may God send comfort to those who mourn. Grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. I want to thank everyone who has tuned into this broadcast. Of course, we all wish we could be here together in the same physical place, and I want to acknowledge the people who are able to be here, and thank again everyone who is tuning in. We can feel your presence joining in with us as we gather here today to honor Max Brown. Motel ben Avraham HaKohen ve'Esi, the son of Abe and Sonia Brown, Zichronam Livracha, of blessed memory. Max passed away Tuesday, the 7th day in the Hebrew month of Sivan, the 2nd day of Shavuot, as it was drawing to a close. He was 86. Max will be lovingly missed and remembered by his family, his wife of 60 years, Phyllis, his 3 children and their partners, Darren and Cheryl, Bruce and Miriam, Lisa and Brent, his 7 grandchildren, Orly, Mia, Dor, Ronnie, Ariella, Sadie, and Samuel, his 2 brothers and sisters-in-law, Joey and Harriet, Larry and Shirley, as well as many nephews, nieces, cousins, and friends, and also his beloved community of fellow residents and caregivers from the Simkin Center, where he spent the last 4.5 years. Max was predeceased by his parents, Abe and Sonia, as well as by his brother Morris. In Jewish tradition, the highest form of respect we have to offer another human being is to accompany him to his final resting place, to honor him, to pay tribute to his life. And so that is what we have come to do here today. We remember Max Brown as he was throughout so much of his life, before, tragically, Alzheimer's disease began to set in 13 years ago. At the same time, we join our hearts together as a family and a community to give comfort and strength to Max's family at this difficult time. When someone we love passes away after a long and painful illness and after a slow decline, We are often left with many unanswered questions, and many feelings difficult to process. I personally have always found comfort in these words of Jewish tradition adapted from Ben Sira. We are all destined to die. We share it with all who ever lived and all who ever will be. We should cry for the dead, hide not our grief. Do not restrain our mourning. But we should also remember that continuing sorrow is worse than death. When the dead are at rest, we should let their memory be a source of peace. Death is better than a life of pain, and eternal rest is better than a constant sickness. As a drop of water in the sea, as a grain of sand on the shore, these are our few days in eternity. The good things in life last for a short time, but a good name, a good reputation, will endure forever. Today we honor and, in fact, we celebrate the good reputation of one very special man. A husband, a father, a Zeta or Saba, a brother, a son, a teacher, a friend. Today we give recognition to the good name Max Brown carved out for himself throughout his life, and for which he will be remembered. And to help us do that, we are very fortunate to have a number of perspectives from Max's family as we honor him today. Words from his children, eulogies from Darren, Lisa, and Bruce, as well as from grandson Dor. Not everyone could be here today because of the pandemic, but we are thankful to have Darren and Lisa who will deliver these words between the two of them. And I'd like to invite them forward now. Thank you, Rabbi.
So, I'm going to start with some words that my nephew and Max's oldest grandson Dor sent yesterday. Dor, who Zeta called the bandit. Zeta Max, we all know that the past few years haven't been so kind to you. It's been so long since I last saw you strong and healthy like you always were. Although it's been so long, the only Zeta I remember is the Zeta that walked down the street of my elementary school to surprise me, wearing your Israel cap and standing tall above everyone else. The only Zeta I remember is the man that was reading his Stephen King book on his favorite chair. I remember walking with you to Benny's and having a cup of coffee together, the trips up north, coming to Winnipeg and going to Sal's. And of course, Fearless. Zeta, I can't think of you enough for all the great times. I know for sure you are up there now, having a piece of herring with some white bread and reading a book. Saba Max, I love you so much and already miss you. That's from the bandit. My father, Max Brown of blessed memory, passed peacefully Tuesday evening, following a long and exhausting battle with Alzheimer's disease. As the rabbi mentioned, he was 86. So I'm going to tell you a bit about my dad, who many of you were fortunate to know. Max was born in a small town, and he died in a small town. And Winnipeg was always good enough for him. He embodied some of the best qualities of the prairies. He was principled, outgoing, and friendly, especially to the man on the street. the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. If you were a close friend or family, he held you to a much more exacting standard. He was a prairie populist. He had big personality. He was interesting. He was unpretentious, hardworking, and he loved to shovel snow. Max was honest and he shot from the hip. He was garrulous and opinionated and uncompromising, sometimes to a fault. You knew where you stood with my dad. If you disappointed Max, he could cut you off in a minute. But if he was your friend, he was a true friend, and he always had your back. My father grew up in the storied north end of Winnipeg, the second of 4 sons of Russian immigrants. He attended the iconic St. John's High, which was a melting pot polyglot of overachieving East European kids. His gang was classic dead-end kids. They got into no end of trouble, but they all made successes of themselves. Max included. Max was a fantastic athlete. He excelled as a southpaw pitcher with a wicked curveball, and he was a heck of a goalie. We used to spend hours throwing the baseball back and forth on the sidewalk in front of our house. He taught me the submarine pitch. He was also an excellent golfer, although he gave up his club membership at Bell Acres when they opened it up to women. Well, that was then, and I told you he could be uncompromising. He took up tennis later in life, and we played some great marathon doubles matches at our local high school tennis courts. Nothing fancy, cracked concrete and metal nets. But it was the neighborhood, and it worked. My dad was a respected high school teacher. We run into his former students all the time, and he had a tremendous and positive impact on so many of them. They too tell wonderful Max stories. He coached the Sisler Spartans soccer team to several city high school championships. Max was a thespian. He was an actor, doing amateur theater, TV commercials, and he was an extra in several movies. In fact, he once stood in for Christopher Plummer, blocking while they were setting the scenes, and then he showed him around the peg, ending up at Oscars for a corned beef sandwich. Where else? He was also the poster dad for Robin's Donuts across Canada back in the 1980s. Max taught himself bridge and became a master player. When he partnered with my mom on social occasions, well, sparks could fly. Phyllis, how could you bid 2-no Trump? Notwithstanding bridge flare-ups and the occasional spat, Max and Phyllis were married over 60 years. My mom has been at his side throughout his Alzheimer's descent and has been a star. We are so very proud of her. Max was an awesome and involved dad. He was always in attendance at my sports events, invariably chewing out the rest for bad calls, sometimes a bit embarrassing. We won't talk about my blooper final when I was 7 years old. It's legendary. According to my daughters, the apple hasn't fallen that far from the tree. He had high standards and he taught me right from wrong. He taught me the value of hard work, of self-reliance, of self-respect, and of a dollar. I remember traipsing to the bus stop on frigid winter mornings when I was about 14, and we both worked Saturdays at Athlete's Wear. He made sure we would always arrive early enough to go to Cozy's Diner for a sugar bun, and early enough to still be at work 15 minutes before our starting time. I remember once falling behind on our walk to the bus, and he turned and he chewed me out. I had to keep up with him. I had to walk like a man. He wasn't afraid to administer tough love when required, and for that I'm grateful. We had many, many wonderful and memorable times together as adults when he visited me in Toronto. LeBaron Steakhouse and his Maple Leafs, watching Phil Niekro throw knuckleballs at Exhibition Stadium from behind home plate, chicken wings and watching Reservoir Dogs at my condo. He was the best man at my stag. Dad was a huge Cheryl fan from the get-go and was bang on with that. They had an easy, warm, and loving relationship, and she will miss Max a lot. He had a special way with children who were drawn to him. Orly and Mia adored Zeta Max in their time together, including most famously at our Little Beach family reunion years ago. His renditions to them of A, You're Adorable, B, You're So Beautiful, C, You're the Apple of My Eye, is one of several vivid memories they hold and they cherish. They soak up the stories we tell about Max and his many adventures. He will live on through us and with them. His memory is a blessing. He is greatly missed and loved. If any of you want to make donations in my father's memory, then given these particularly difficult times, if you could direct your donations to an Israel-focused charity, that would be great. We like Beit HaLochem, which is a charity for disabled soldiers, or the Jewish National Fund. And of course, the Simkin Center or the Shara Zedek are also very, very worthy recipients.
I will first read some words from my brother Bruce, who is in Israel. My dad, together with my mom, my hero. I was fortunate to be able to tell him this when he was alive. My dad was stoic. Before Alzheimer's took away his mind and spirit, he knew what awaited him, and he never outwardly felt sorry for himself. I recall a sad story my mother told me early in the disease. He prepared a file of all their holdings, bank, insurance, bills, collectibles, not enough of those, and shared it with my mom. He knew that at some point he would be unable to manage his accounts. My dad, my kids don't like when I say this, but he remained alive too long. Medical science is a 21st century blessing. It can also be a curse. A blessing as it battles and defeats illnesses, increasing our general wellness, but a curse because it sometimes enables us to outlive ourselves, and such as with my dad. My dad, his strong intellect allowed him to delay his diseases, the diseases creep, but eventually he outlived his books, his sports, his many hats, Benny's, his favorite coffee shop in Rehovot, and his true friends and dedicated family. My dad, 22 Astor, sitting in the green chair in front of our large front windows, a book in hand, sometimes late into a Saturday night, not resting until we all arrived home, eventually letting go when each of us moved afar. Here's just a poem that I wrote some time ago, inspired by my parents and the wonderful life we had on Astor. It's called The Weekend. Waiting for the bell to ring, moving hands to 3:30. Been a long week, but today is Friday. Anxious to be free, ringing bells, closing books, algebra and spelling long forgotten. Saying goodbyes, Monday years away. Reaching home by 4, hello mom, hello dad. scattering books across the floor, grabbing a bunch of cookies, dinner tonight at Bobby Sonia's, running to the TV room, watching reruns of favorite shows, Monday years away. Dinner is great, dessert even better, grown-ups talking, cousins playing, watching more TV, coming home late, Dad carrying me to bed, Mom tucking me in, sweet dreams of Friday every day, Mondays years away. My dad, you too had great role models, Bobby Sonia, Zeta Aby, and now you are with them, and of course your brother Morris, finally at peace. And if you can just bear with us for one more, this is from me. As a daughter, my dad was everything to me, but really nothing in particular. A teacher, a camp director, a coach, an actor, a model, a bridge enthusiast, an avid reader, a record collector, a fan of the opera, a cyclist, a tennis player, and by far the most handsome man of all. As a dad, he took on many roles. As a man who rarely slept, our laundry would appear folded and laid in our drawers in the middle of the night. Our radios that lulled us to sleep would miraculously be turned off in the morning, and our kitchen cleaned. He was always the first to rise. In the cold winter months, we would wake up to heated cars gassed up and wiped clean of snow and ice. He was the dog walker, the weatherman, the snow shoveler, the grass mower, and a master organizer. He was the one who packed us up and off to Winnipeg Beach every summer and regularly played reel movies on the front lawn of our cottage for all to attend. He was a gin and tonic drinker, an Old Spice wearer, a Leonard Cohen fan, the editor of our school essays, and the leader of our satyrs. With my dad, you always knew where you stood. There was no gray. He had friends, and he had people who were not friends. There was right, wrong, good, bad, and little in between. In times of crisis, it was his advice I would seek because there was always an answer, whether you liked it or not. He was a doting Zeta who would change diapers and rock all of my children to sleep, cradling them in his arms and allowing me the time to rest. He had a magic touch, singing, humming, walking them endlessly until they slept, and apparently that was something he would do when I was a child as he sang Mona Lisa. My dad was happiest when he was home with a book or eating a broiled hot dog in front of the TV on a Saturday night and watching a Leafs game. A true North Ender, he loved his Oscar's Deli, his Jeannie's Cake, his A&W onion rings. He walked around with a transistor radio listening to hockey game highlights or the CJOB news and often ended his night with a bowl of Rice Krispies or bananas and sour cream. He loved his brothers, he loved his nieces and nephews, he loved his home, he loved his city. My mom and dad had a marriage of over 60 years. My mom's commitment to my dad throughout their marriage, most particularly throughout the last years of his life, is unparalleled. Alzheimer's is an insidious disease that can exhaust and exasperate the caregivers, perhaps more than the patient. My mom's patience, dedication, love, and commitment to my dad is one of, if not the greatest gifts that she has given me. Mom, you did well, and now I know Dad would tell you to live the rest of your life. Finally, Dad, although you communicated very little over the past many years, you were very clear on letting us all know that you were ready to go in your final days. You were still at peace and surrounded by your nuclear family. We held your hand, we kissed your forehead, we recited psalms, and we played your favorite music. We were here with you until your blessed soul left its vessel. My dad always had an expression when things weren't great. He would say, "You know what? At least you're on the right side of the grass." Well, Dad, you have lived your life and you have earned your eternal rest on the other side.
I want to thank Darren and Lisa for speaking so from from the heart, so courageously, so heartfeltly. And also to Bruce and to Dor for sending their words as well. Beautiful eulogies of tribute for Max this morning. When I met with the family, they asked me if there was any significance in Max passing away in the final moments of Shavuot on Tuesday evening when he passed peacefully, as Lisa just described, surrounded by family. As I've thought about it, I keep coming back to the fact that Shavuot is known by many names, but one of them is Zman Matan Toratenu, the time of the giving of our Torah. That makes Shavuot as a holiday a celebration of gifts. In fact, in Judaism, it's the celebration of the ultimate gift, which is the Torah. But as we are taught, it's important to note the distinction. We do not call Shavuot the time of receiving the Torah. It's the time of giving the Torah. The connection to Max Brown has become clear to me, especially through the eulogies we've heard today and the stories his family shared with me, the stories of love, admiration, and respect that will continue to be shared in the days and weeks and years ahead. Max Brown gave countless gifts throughout his life to his family and his friends, and as a teacher, really, to his community. Just as with the Torah on Shavuot, we celebrate God's gift, and it's up to us what we do with it. So it's the same with Max Brown. His gifts were tremendous. They are to be remembered and cherished. And now it's up to us, people who knew him and who loved him, and his community, to receive those gifts, to let them influence and enhance our lives, and to keep his memory and his good name alive as a blessing. It's my honor now, and Max's honor, to recite the El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bamromi, Hamtzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina B'malot Kedoshim Uteorim Kezohar Arakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Moto Ben Avram HaKohen Vesi Shelach Leolamo Began Eden Tehe Menuchato Anabal Harachamim Hastireu Beseiter Knafecha Leolamim Utzror Pitzror Achaim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalato V'yanuach B'shalom Hamishkavo Benomar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Max Brown, son of Abraham and Sonia Brown, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that he find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life, and may he rest in peace. Let us say, Amen. Again, I want to thank everybody who was able to tune in to today's service. I encourage you to continue to reach out, whether you have already or if you haven't, to start reaching out to the family with emails and text messages and phone calls to find ways to transcend these difficult times of the pandemic and still join our hearts together to lend comfort and strength and support, as we mentioned in the beginning of this service. In a moment, we will conclude with the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, and family members who are here will have the honor of shoveling earth into the grave. This is an extension of what we mentioned at the beginning. The highest form in Jewish tradition is to bury our loved ones with our own hands, taking on the responsibility of caring for them until the very end. We believe in Judaism our loved ones deserve to be buried by our own hands, kind, knowing, sorrowful hands, hands that once held their hands. We recognize it's a painful act, but it's also a mitzvah, a righteous act which we do without hope of any reward, selflessly, an act born of love and compassion for someone who meant so much to so many people. Earlier in the service, I offered the words of Job, Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, Yehi shem Adonai mevorach. Job being the epitome of suffering in Judaism. God you have given, God you have taken away, blessed be the name of God. May the memory of Max Brown be a blessing as we mark that his essence will never leave our hearts and our souls. We turn now to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal shemei dekudsha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace and harmony on high bring peace and harmony to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity, as again we say, amen. I thank everyone again, and to the family I offer these words in closing. Hamakom yinachem etchem b'toch sha'ar ve'lei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May you be comforted and consoled. May God comfort and console you among all those who are in mourning or who have ever been in mourning in our community. Thank you again.